How you doing, guys? This is the Lord Humongous from RuleTheWasteland.com. I've done some videos before on survival library, different books you can check out on prepping, preparedness, and self-sufficiency. And I don't read a lot of fiction, but there are a couple good survival fiction books out there, and some of them I haven't even got to reading until recently. One of those that a lot of people have been recommending that I read over the years is 1 Second After by William Forstchen. I don't know how to say his name. This is a survival fiction book about a EMP or electromagnetic pulse that's set off over the United States and cripples the entire infrastructure, electrical grid, any electronic item in the country is cooked. And it is centered around a guy who's living in the Carolinas and who has to take care of his family and fight off the inevitable marauders and all the other good stuff that happens in survival fictions. There's a couple things that I liked about this book and a couple things that I didn't. Overall, I did like it. Overall, I would say it was an entertaining book, and so it was well written and everything like that. No major issues there. Nice, normal size and everything. So there's no major flaws that I would find in this book, that aren't in any other fiction. The things that I didn't like about the book were mostly that some of them are just opinion, not necessarily a flaw in the way that it was written, but choices that the author made. One of those being that the book centered almost exclusively around this one character and this town. So you don't get a very good picture or idea of what was happening in the rest of the country to get an overall idea of the state of affairs in the country, which is fine if you're trying to kind of give the reader a sense of that isolation. But at the same time, I don't think it was the most entertaining storytelling that could have been done with this situation. Now, maybe the author will or already has, I don't know, write different stories or different books that take place at the same time in the world that was created in 1 Second After. I don't know, but it does give you a good sense of the isolation, I guess, and not know what's along with the characters, you don't know what's happening in the rest of the world, but I think it would have been slightly more entertaining if you did have different stories from all over the country or the world or whatever to tell what was going on. He focuses a lot on disease in this book as well, which is something that a lot of people don't cover in survival fiction, especially in a grid down scenario like is explained in this book and in Patriots and a lot of survival fiction, is that there would be a huge explosion in different types of diseases that are, for the most part, kept completely under control now with proper sanitation, hygiene, and antibiotics and medication that people have constant access to. And so the main character's daughter in this book is diabetic, so that obviously becomes an issue. There's a nursing home in the town that obviously runs out of supplies, so there's a lot of issues with medical stuff. And so it is kind of a bummer because there's not much that you can do about that stuff in these situations. It is really realistic, so it's kind of cool that that was included as well. Another thing that I didn't really like about this book was sort of the slant that the author has towards sort of central planning, it seems like. The character in the book becomes immediately part of this town council that is making the decisions for the entire town, sort of against their will in a lot of cases, and it's shown as being somewhat necessary and even done with good intentions, but I don't like that mindset at all. And I'm not saying that people should always be surviving on their own and you should just be an awesome prepper and not need any sort of local government intervention or whatever. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the general attitude that the government should be there making decisions and taking care of the people regardless of the situations. Obviously, even in situations where having to suspend normal rule of law and stuff like that, and it's shown as being necessary in this book, which I don't necessarily agree with. So I didn't like that aspect of it, but that was just more of a philosophical thing. It didn't really have anything to do with the writing of the book. So overall, I would recommend it because there's not a whole lot of options out there for decent survival fiction. So this deals mainly with EMP, which is also not really dealt with a lot in other survival fictions. You'll see things like economic collapse in Patriots and other things like that cause or comets like in Lucifer's Hammer and things like that. So there's not too many books out there that deal with EMP. One that does not exclusively EMP, but like a raging solar flare is another kind of disaster book. I wouldn't necessarily call this a prepper book, but it is definitely an apocalypse fiction. Quantum Storms deals with a rogue solar flare that's just going to cook the entire planet, and people have to prepare for that. So that's sort of similar. There's another one called Lights Out, I believe, which I haven't read, and I may be mistaken, but I'm assuming that one also deals with EMP as well. So there's a few out there that have similar themes, and you can go to RuleTheWasteland.com and check out under the resources page. There's books and fiction, and you can see the survival fiction that I've read. I won't I'm not recommending books that I haven't read yet because I don't know if they're any good. So every book on the recommended list in there is something that I have personally read. And so you'll see these on there and you can click through and get them on Amazon. This actual copy, I don't need to keep it around. I don't really read fiction repeatedly. So I'm going to be giving this away. I will do an article on rulethewasteland.com about this book, briefly explaining the things that I've mentioned here. And everyone who comments on that post on rulethewasteland.com will be entered freely into a drawing to receive this copy of the book that I'm holding in my hand right here. So I'll run that for a week from when this video airs. Everyone who comments on that video, it doesn't have to be about the book if you haven't read it, but it does have to be a relevant comment. You know, if you just put something stupid on there that has nothing to do with prepping, nothing to do with the book, or nothing to do with EMP or survival fiction, and it's completely off topic, it's just going to get deleted and not be part of the contest. So make it at least relevant to the topic or the theme of the website. And anyone who does comment on there, you know, it could be something simple like interesting. I'm looking forward to reading that book in the future, maybe something like that. It doesn't have to be anything extensive or in depth, but it does have to be related. Everyone who comments on that post on rulethewasteland.com, and there's a link to that in the description box below, will be entered into winning this book. And I'll randomly pick one of the commenters a week after this video airs, and I will just contact you later about getting your copy of this. So make sure to check back on the comments thread, because I'll probably have to reply to your comment and say email me for details. So make sure you check back on that after a week to see if you won. So that was my thoughts on the book 1 Second After. Let me know if you guys read it and what you think, and let me know about any other survival fiction books or prepping fiction that you guys have checked out, the good and the bad things about those. And maybe in the future, when I get a chance to sit down and read some more fiction, I will look at those too. So I'll talk to you guys later.